Andy, we've got the transmission out of your 2000 Volvo. This is what it looks like when it's all apart. I'll go over some things that we found with you on the inside of the transmission, and Eric or Amanda will contact you with the parts estimates. We'll start with the pan. So when we look at the pan, you can see all this black goop here. So all these pieces of black, all that's all clutch material. So at that point, anytime we see the dark black stuff, we know the transmission has to come out. That's going to be from clutch failing. And then here we've got some bronze, and on top of our magnet we've got quite a bit of metal on here. That's about 2 times the amount of metal we normally see. The filter, you can see that filter seal that's stuck on the end of the filter. That shouldn't be there. That actually should be in this hole here. And so it looks like somebody, when we see the filter stuck like that, typically it's going to be someone who's done a service and they failed to drive that seal into the bore first, and doing is it collapses too much. So that's what that looks like. On the thermo element here, there's a little plate here, and I think there's supposed to be a thermo element piece here. This plate here, there'd be a little tiny piece of metal that actually goes from this stud over to this stud, and it's gonna either allow this plate to stay located there or fall down like that. So basically that thermo element, I think, is missing. That typically happens when somebody pries down the filter during a service if they don't know what they're actually looking for. So that's what I think happened to that. That affects your fluid level, so you won't get an accurate fluid level reading. So when we look at the transmission itself, all of these little plastic bits are brittle as heck, and that's going to be from too much heat. On the top of the transmission, there's little tons of black bits like this, and that's pieces of wire loom. And I've taken a picture to show that we end up with wires that are unprotected. So the wires themselves are normally wrapped with a plastic material that helps to protect them. So again, too much heat is going to be the reason for that. And same thing on these connectors. When we go take them off, they're so brittle that they're breaking, and that's going to be from too much heat. This is our reverse band. This one actually looks okay. It's a uniform color, and we don't see any abnormal wear there. These are our drive chains here. The measurement gets done prior to taking them out. They look like they're okay though. These are accumulators and the accumulator springs. We look for the wear inside where the pin goes here, and they look like they're okay. And there's nothing wrong with the springs either. The third clutch, this is going to be the clutch that comes on for third gear. If you look at this one, that's more what it should look like, but of course when we look at the other ones, you can see the lining's missing. This clutch has failed terribly, so that's severe slippage there. That's going to create some heat, of course. This is our input clutch. It's going to come off for both forward and reverse. This is what a clutch should look like. There's no actual slippage there. Everything looks fine. This one is our second clutch that comes on for second gear. You can see the black lines there, more black lines. So this has had a little bit of slippage, not to the point that it's failed, but certainly a little bit of extra heat generated. This one is our fourth clutch, and it looks fine as well. It doesn't look like it's been slipping. These are one-sided frictions, so you can see there's frictions on this side and steel surface on that side, and they look okay. On our planetaries, the camera may not pick up on this, but on each side of this gear there's going to be some washers. There's going to be a steel washer and then a brass washer, and the same thing on this side. And what's happened is some of these brass washers are actually worn away almost to nothing. So this one in particular, again, the camera's not really going to pick that up, but we've got some significant wear on the washers themselves. This is our forward band. Got a little bit of, you can see the black line there, a little bit of slippage there. And this is the 1-2 band. And the problem with this band is the flaking around the edge there. So right where my thumb is, you can see there's flaking on the lining. So we're going to have to replace that. This is the area that the servo is going to apply the band like that, and it wraps around a drum like that. So a lot of bushing wear as well. I can't really show the bushing wear with a camera, but you know, the bushings themselves are worn. That's going to be from mileage. This is a reluctor wheel, so we have a sensor that picks up the signal off of these teeth, and the problem is these pins here, you can see this one wobbling. These are how they're located onto the onto a sprocket, and basically what's happened is this pin is loose inside the bore there. Eventually that's going to get to the point where it's going to break off, and of course that's going to lead to a failure. The stun gear shaft, fourth clutch hub. It's hard to see on the camera, but you can see where my thumb is. There's a line. That line's not supposed to be there. The reason you see that line is because from here up, there's about somewhere between 25 and 50% wear on the spline, and that's going to spline into this sun gear. So it's going to sit like this, and we don't want to have a situation where the splines strip out. Otherwise we'll have no fourth gear. So again, we've got some spline wear on the fourth gear hub there. On the valve body, we haven't checked it yet, but the valve body we're going to have, definitely we're going to replace this pressure control solenoid. We've got to test these shift solenoids. There's a shift solenoid there and a shift solenoid over there, and this will be our lock-up PWM solenoid. So those have to be tested still, and we've got to clean up the valve body and make sure that we don't have any extra wear there that we shouldn't have. And the pump, you can't really see the pump too much, but this is what the pump looks like. There's veins inside there. We still have to take the pump apart, but what happens is there's a shaft that will turn this, and then these veins are going to collapse the oil. You can see there's a crescent style cavity here. That's in order to actually collapse the oil. So again, the pump usually is okay, but we still have to check that. So you know, it seems to be fine right now, but once we've cleaned it up, we'll know more about that as well. So that's about what we found on the inside of the transmission. As I said, Eric or Amanda will contact you with the cost estimates. Thanks.